Hello, welcome to Win Some Lose More. My name is Dieter Loosemore and you join me for a top 5. This is where I go through a category of some kind and give my favourites on that category. Today I want to talk about top 5 games that I will teach anyone. Now this came up in a video I did a few months ago with my brother, and I mentioned a couple of games. If you've seen that, you'll know which the top couple that might show up and go, oh, I always put this in my bag, this is the one I take everywhere, this is the one I teach everybody. It's that kind of thing. This is not about my teaching ability. These are the top 5 games that I want to introduce to people. These are the games that, if you're a hardened war gamer, if you've never played a game before in your life, it doesn't matter what range, where you are on that scale, these are the ones that I want to teach you. These are the ones that I consistently have success and fun, most importantly, and get people wanting to play it again and to try out different games because of these games. These have been really helpful and welcoming for people, and successful for me as wanting and finding more people to play with. So let's just jump straight in. Number 5, a really small game called Hanamikoji. This isn't one that everybody likes after they've played, but in a good way, I want to say, because this game is a little action selection, sort of. You've got 4 things you can do during a round. You must do all of them, but you choose the order, and you just flip the action tile to show which one you're doing. And one is just saving a card for later, one's getting rid of 2 cards, but then the other 2 are this I split you choose mechanism, where you either lay out 3 cards from your hand and your opponent gets to keep 1 and you must keep the other 2, or you put out 2 sets of 2 and your opponent gets to keep 1 set and you keep the other. And these cards are to gain majority favour from these geisha, and you want to get a certain amount of those or points to win the game. So it could only last 1 round if you play it right. The reason this works so well is because it's only 5 minutes. It can be, yes, if it goes beyond the first round it can be 10, maybe 15 minutes at a real push, but this is a 5-minute game, so even if they don't like it, it's done and they never have to touch it again. But chances are they want to try it again. There's the compulsion of, all these choices were so tense and difficult. It's amazing how much angst they put into this simple choice of 1 of 4 actions. But within that, which one do you do? What information do I have? Because you have emerging information as you go through the game, because you're drawing cards every round and you're seeing what your opponent's putting out or keeping and whatnot. And so it's this real tension of this back and forth of, oh, I don't know which one to put out. I don't want them to have that one. How can I trick them to taking the one that I want them to take? So I keep the ones that I want, but is that a gamble on this? All of this happens within like a minute. as you're taking an action of 30 seconds, and this huge angst, this huge tension for just this tiny game, and there's just something really satisfying about that. Mostly people have said, oh, let's do that again, I want to be better at it, oh, let's figure that one out. A couple of people have like, oh no, I hate that, but they had that experience, and that's part of what games are about for me, is sharing that kind of experience. Now I don't want people to go away with a negative impression, that's why this one's number 5, but that they've had a visceral connection to a game, I think is great, and goes, oh, this games can do this, oh, that's really cool. It's not just the frustration of something like Monopoly that some people experience, where it's going on forever and people are just being mean and all this stuff. It's not that kind of frustration. It's I didn't do the right choice, oh, you snuck this out. It's just a different kind of tension. Even if they say, no, I'm okay, I don't want to play that again, they've had a connection to it that we'll remember and talk about, and that's really cool for me. Number 4, I struggled with, I've tried to have different kinds of games on here. This used to be Patchwork. It could have been New York Zoo. I'm going for the kind of the abstract, spatial, building out the board puzzle. But I actually take a slight sidestep from those polyomino games into a game called Tiny Towns, where yes, you're kind of building those polyominoes, but one piece at a time out of different coloured cubes, different materials, to build these different buildings which will score in different ways. This is possibly the heaviest game on this list. This list does skew lighter because I want it to be accessible to everybody. But this one is a little bit thinkier. And typically what's happened is that people immediately want to play it again because halfway through, 2/3 of the way through the first game, they go, oh, I see, I did this thing wrong. Oh, okay, let's finish this one. Let's do it again. I want to get better. I want to do it right. I want to see if I can solve this puzzle. That seems to be a common thing for me, is just solving this puzzle, is having this real crunch of going, how do I maximize this? Not overthinking it, not min-maxing this, putting in minimal work to get the maximum output, not trying to game it that way, just, oh, okay, actually I want to go after these buildings because they score in this way and I want to connect them, and trying to build those combos as you go is just super satisfying in such a simple bingo game. We take it in turns to call which colour cube we want to put on the board, and then everybody must take a cube of that colour and put it somewhere on the board. That's it. Once you have the pattern that you want, you remove them from the board and put the building that it made in one of their spaces. It's that simple, but it all just builds up and it's just super satisfying, and it's consistently gone really well despite it being that little bit heavier for some people. Number 3, smallest game in terms of box size on this list. This is No Thanks. If you've watched many of my videos, you'll have heard me talking about this game before. It is super simple, like an anti-bidding game essentially, where you don't want things. You're saying no thanks to things. You don't want points. It's golf scoring. You want the lowest points you can, and you start out with some red chips which are worth minus points, and every time cards are flipped which have numbers on ranging, I think, from 3 to 35, somewhere in that region. I might be wrong specifically. Some of them are removed from the game each time, so you don't exactly know which ones are in there, and they're worth the points that they show. But if you don't want to take it, which you don't, you must put a red chip on it. You're saying, no thanks, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that. And it goes round and round and round until somebody goes, or either they've run out of red chips or they want that card for some reason, and they take it and they gain all of the red chips on it. So yes, they've gained points, but actually they've offset them and given themselves buying power for later. It's just a really clever game that everybody has loved immediately. It's not as high because it takes at least 3 people, and really you want 4 or 5 people for it to be most fun, seeing if you can nicely gang up on somebody. But again, around what lasts like 5 minutes, so it doesn't really matter. It's a fun, fast little game that I would recommend everybody having. I think this should be in every collection. Number 2, I did this even recently. Last week or so I taught somebody this. This is 2 games, but they're the same game. This is Century, either Spice Road or Golem Edition, and that's kind of down to the individual. Aesthetically, Golem Edition is nicer, but it has a stronger theme and so potentially more divisive. If people just want to do the basic engine building, fast, fun card play, Spice Road. If they like fantasy or art, beautiful art, or don't have a problem with any thematic things that may be going on, Golem Edition, lovely production, so beautiful. It's a super simple card game. You do one of 4 things. Again, that's a theme on here. It's really simple choices, but good choices. Do I play one of the cards to either gain resources or do a trade? Do I gain a new card from the row, which might cost me some cubes or gems, depending which version you're playing, to get the ability to do one of the things I want to do? Okay. Or am I using all the gems or cubes, the spices that I've got, to fulfill the contracts or to get the golems, or whatever it is, to get the points? That's how you win the game, is getting those. Or have I run out of cards, or do I strategically want to rest, is the 4th thing, and pick up all my action cards so I get to do it all again and build these combos. And it's got my favourite mechanism of the river. I love this mechanism so much. The thing furthest away is free, and you've got to pay more and more to get the thing that you might want, but if you wait it might come down, but someone might get it before you. Great choices with timing, with actions. It's this really simple engine building game, so it introduces people to that kind of thing if they don't know it, or just gives them a really distilled, condensed version if they already do know engine building. It's a beautiful, beautiful system. Century Spice Road, number 2, and number 1. Again, if you watched that video with my brother, you'll know what this is. This is always in my bag wherever I go. If I'm teaching new people, doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum, Fuse is amazing. Even if you don't like real-time games. I don't particularly like real-time games. My brother, who I was talking to about this, Rick, doesn't like real-time games, but there's something, whether it's because it's cooperative, whether it's because it's dice, whether it's because it's only 10 minutes. I don't know what it is, but Fuse just works really well. You're just frantically working through, rolling dice, trying to negotiate between yourselves which die you want to fulfill the cards, essentially defusing bombs, and it's just exciting. Now, if it's brand new gamers, don't really play things ever, I might not use the timer the first time, just to teach them how each type of card goes. There's a little bit more to this than, say, No Thanks or Hanamikoji. But it's just always exciting, it's always fun. I personally can't play more than a couple of times because I get too stressed and aggravated that people think differently to me, because of course they do, why wouldn't they? This is my favourite co-op game, it's my favourite real-time game, it's my favourite game that I will take anywhere and teach anyone. Fuse, amazing, get it. What are yours? I'd love to know what games you love teaching people, or that you would happily introduce to anybody wherever they are on the spectrum. Board gaming is just such a lovely hobby, and to be able to share it with as many people as possible it's just something special to me. And so these games have really helped me do that. I want to know what yours are. Do stick them down in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Do consider subscribing if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you stay updated when I put out new things, and all the usual social media stuff. Instagram, Twitter, Win Some Lose More, search, you'll find me. I hope to hear from you, and I'll see you again on the next one. I've been Dieter for Win Some Lose More. Thank you. Bye.